don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
So you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late, they cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
The flow insane, take my spot, take the range, shoot my shot with perfect aim, 3rd degree, that perfect flame, ain't no sleep, that's the game, oh so southern, that's the slang, when they see me, that's the main, chasing checks and fly like planes, big old stick, I bought a cane, flick my wrist and bought the ring, I'm so boss, we're not the same, paid the cost and kept the change, now I'm walking Hall of Fame, and I reside in the cloud, grand wishes, with these bitches, taking pictures with the crowd, and I'm out.
Yo. Happy Monday. Peace, blessings, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. Glorious day, glorious evening. I hope all is well with everybody. Thank you for being here. A shout out to my poets, writers, authors, painters, dancers, anybody of the art community. Be my first love. Always going to give you your flowers. To everybody that's been rocking with me the last couple weeks, months, years, thank you. I got Rob in the building. I got Sydney in the studio. You see the title. This one is courtesy of Sid. I do have a clip. The actual one that I got, I can't play that one, but I did find a shorter version that kind of will get you guys up to speed. She's going to be the head on this one for this evening, though. Nonetheless, I'm excited about this conversation. It's probably going to be uncomfortable for a lot of people, but I figured, hey, we need to have it. So let me bring everybody up on the big screen real quick, and let's get this show started. Yo. What up?
Hello. How you guys doing?
Good. Happy Monday.
You as well.
How's everybody?
It's been nice. It's been hot and humid today. You can feel it coming through the walls and the windows. So we're definitely getting that summer weather now. We get the June gloom, so we get the since we're coastal, we get clouds during the early summer, but we're getting the hot temperatures now, and not a fan.
Talk about a warm welcome. Ba-doom. It's pretty decent here, surprisingly. I think because we got rain over the last couple of days, it's kind of helped a lot. So I'm grateful. I ain't complaining one bit. when you sent me this clip, first of all, I think it was actually 23 minutes or 32 is one of the two. I actually finished watching it officially earlier. I watched a piece of it last week. I came back and watched the rest of it today. But I thought, yeah, this is going to be a controversial one. I'm going to play the clip and then I'm going to give you the reins so that, like, if you want to add any context to it, because, like I said, this is a shorter version of it. There might be some updates, and then we'll just go around the panel and give our thoughts.
These parents in Oregon let their baby pass away while awaiting a miracle. They'll be in jail for just a month. This is Blair and Taylor Edwards, and their 30-day sentence has reignited outrage over the Followers of Christ Church's deadly beliefs. Blair and Taylor Edwards, two Christian parents who let their sick newborn baby pass away because they didn't want to call a doctor. And they were just sentenced to 30 days in jail. The light punishment apparently comes with a promise that they would seek out professional medical care for their other 3 children, and a plea to members of their Christian anti-medicine cult to do the same. This tragic story began on June 24th, 2023, when Taylor gave birth to her son Hayden at home. Everything was fine until the morning of June 26th, apparently, and that's when Hayden stopped eating and his lips turned blue. Hours later, he stopped breathing, only to start again after his mother poured cold water on him. But 30 minutes later, he was no longer alive. So at no point in those 5 hours did his parents call doctors for help. Instead, they invited family and friends to come over to pray and anoint the sick baby with oil. So all of these people belong to the Followers of Christ Church in Oregon, whose members are told that prayers fix everything and medical interventions for children are unnecessary. Since 2011, when Oregon's legislature finally removed faith healing as a legal defense for unaliving, 3 other couples from the same church have been prosecuted for unaliving their own kids. So why did the Edwards receive such a light sentence? Apparently, one expert testified that Hayden could have passed away even with medical intervention, but the judge and prosecutors agreed the parents still committed a crime by failing to get proper help. These parents in Oregon let
I'm gonna move this over here. Let's do this. I go down to the
bottom. So this one's actually a new one that I'm hearing about, but it's still basically along the same lines as the original story, because the story that I found was, I believe she was a baby girl, and she died at 61 hours old because she developed jaundice, and her family refused to take her to the doctor on the assertion that they would just pray over her. And the reason why that particular story stood out to me was because the grandparents of the child, the midwife of the family, and the doctor, the child's doctor herself, were all telling the couple to go in and get treatment for their baby, because their baby had jaundice disease, which is very, very common and very easily remedied. Babies, brand new newborn babies, get jaundice fairly frequently because their little bodies are still developing the ability to function. Towards the later end of the pregnancy, their organs start to finish developing and become independent. So once they're out of the body, out of the mother's body, they're able to do what they need to do. And the liver is one of the last things to be ready. And so sometimes babies that are born either slightly preterm or even like right on time, they'll have jaundice, which is the liver's inability to keep up with the bile and debris, bodily debris that's in the bloodstream, which is what the liver's for. And so they develop jaundice. That's why they turn yellow. It's the bile in the bloodstream. But all you have to do is do phototherapy, because being vitamin D in the sunlight helps to process it. You can also take certain medications if it needs extra help. Very, very simple, non-obstructive, intrusive treatments. And the fact that you're having medical professionals and your own family telling you to go seek help for this. But they did not, and she ended up passing away. And again, as I said, even though the story that they showed was slightly different, it still reflects a pattern that we still see, where people in certain religious groups, certain religious belief patterns, are rejecting science in favor of their belief systems, which that's where I think the ultimate argument is, because it's your belief systems, but it's also infringing on the rights to somebody else's life. Because when you have a baby, that baby is completely dependent on you. They can't take themselves to the doctor. They can't feed themselves. They can't make any decisions for themselves for a very long time. And it's the parent's responsibility to do for the child what is best for the child. But when you're denying them a very, very simple treatment that would cure what's wrong with them, it infringes on the rights of the child, because their right to live, their right to have medical care, their right to be taken care of and given the treatments that are needed for their existence. So while I would like to say that, I mean, it's up to them, in the at least in my perspective, once somebody else's life is on the line, I feel like beliefs or medical advice should be superseded by beliefs. The quote that I always go back to is, if God didn't want us to have medical care, he wouldn't have given us the brain to create science and medical care and the hospitals and all of the stuff. Like, he enabled us to have these resources to protect us and keep us safe and keep us healthy. If he didn't want us to have these services, he would have just not blessed us with that knowledge. So I think medical care is well within God's blessings. And I just think it's really foolhardy for people to put their children's lives at risk to preserve beliefs that they have. However, knowing psychology, knowing how it affects people, and the intertwinings between group philosophy and decision making, it doesn't surprise me that it is the religious community that is creating scenarios like this.
I'm at a loss for words, because I know people who love their children. So if you got a little bit of Bible or whatever they believe in, a little bit of Quran, got a little bit of medical attention, regardless of what. In that case, I would ideally think that you would either get the doctor to your house or get your baby to the doctor immediately. Lips turning blue, they're not eating. That seemed like an automatic. So I don't know, because a lot of times some people have children and they can't take care of them. So that could be an option for them, for their children to not be here. So, but I don't know. Like I said, when I seen it, that's wild to me because I know I work with kids every day, and all they gotta have is a scratch, and we go into the nurse. They call funny. We go on. My head hurt. It's automatic. That's first response always. You gonna go to a qualified professional to help you out.
I think people, well, first of all, the clip that I played, I had no idea that they were that different but similar because I didn't realize that there were so many different cases that were remotely close to the other one. So I stand corrected on that clip, but like in general, I'm with you on you gave us science for a reason, right? I think that people they muddy the lines between the religion, spirituality, and modern medicine. Like in a life or death situation, and you got somebody that is comatose or they're in critical condition, and medicine doesn't really seem to be doing the job that you would hope would bring the person back to full recovery. We'll go to prayer, right? Hoping for a miracle, or we're looking for some things to change that modern medicine just can't touch. In this case, I don't know if they're following their beliefs in a healthy manner. I can't really put my finger on it because like everybody believe in something different, like Robert said. But it's one thing to believe in whoever you believe in. It's another thing to kind of blur the lines of your faith because you're looking at it from one angle and not all perspectives. So in the other case, they were charged or were supposed to be charged with manslaughter. In this case, you telling me they only did about a month or almost a month, which is ridiculous to me. This is a touchy one. How much do you really put on them? How much blame do you put on them for thinking that they were doing what was best for their kid? Were they being negligent? Were they being ignorant to their faith? Were they being ignorant to the tools that were being offered and provided to them? So many questions.
They the parents of Abigail, the one that I was talking about, they actually just got sentenced for murder. The one in the video, they got a month, I think. This particular family was sentenced to 20 to 45 years behind bars for a murder charge and a concurrent sentence of 19 to 45 years behind bars for child abuse. They also, I don't know what came of it, but they also did take their other two children away because of the fear that they would not offer medical care to their children, to their other living children, should they have needed it. But they both basically have, for me, the fact that they're repeatedly refusing, despite multiple doctors and their own family member telling them that something was wrong, to me, I think it is kind of a deserved sentence, because if you know that there's something wrong with somebody and you don't take action to help them, you're liable for their death. Like if I had somebody in my house right now that suddenly had a heart attack and all I did was stare at them and do nothing and then wait until they died to call authorities, I could be liable in their death because I watched it happen and I did nothing to do. I didn't try and help them. I didn't call 911. I didn't try and get someone else. And so the fact that they knew that this child had this condition and they continued to stand by and do nothing was, to me, it makes the sentence make sense. What's crazy is the way the authorities were notified was a family member who lived in a different state called 9 hours after she passed away because they found out all they were doing was praying over the baby's body. They both stated that they believed in the power of prayer and that God makes no mistakes. And so God would cure the baby if they were meant to have the baby. And I think the sad thing is, or among other things, she had a rare condition called Rh disease or Rh incompatibility, which is a form of anemia. It's basically caused by a blood incompatibility between the mom and the baby. And it is also easily treated. And if all she needed was a prenatal injection. So even with that, she could still be saved. And both of their other two kids had the same problem. So they've had a history with this, but they still refuse to get the care that their daughter deserved. As completely dependent, they need their parents to do the things that are necessary to keep them alive. Like they can't change themselves or feed themselves or take themselves to a doctor. And so we as parents have to put our beliefs aside sometimes to support the lives of our children. And the fact that they did not do that is really where I'm siding with the authorities and law in finding them liable for their deaths, even though, sure, they believe that, but your belief system infringing on somebody's right to life, that becomes something different. That's not the same thing. I mean, you can't apply belief to somebody else's existence and life. Another thing that stood out to me, which I think I can't wrap my head around it. In the time between the death of their baby and them going to trial, they had another baby. They decided to have another child while they were on trial for being responsible for killing their other child. And I'm like, so was that a replacement? Like what's going on here? Because that to me is really wild that you could be going through something like that and you proceed to have another child during all of that craziness. So yeah, that was, this story definitely stuck out to me out of the ones that I've seen before.
I know 2 to 3 people who died of cancer, and they was the Scientologists. I don't know if it's the Jesuits or something, but they believed in prayer over science. But they was well into their senior years, and they had consent. So it still behooves me to where I'm wondering, was the child sick before that? And maybe they knew it was going to die? Or what was really going on? Was there some kind of abuse or something? Why you didn't want to call a doctor? Because I still can't see the baby, he turning blue. What? Oh, we got to go. Or call somebody right now, especially if you get them, you pour cold water on them and he came back to life for a hot second, like that's your opportunity to react. So, you know, I don't know the backstory, but it's sad because the baby possibly had a chance to live. But like I said, we don't know. It doesn't say if the baby was normally healthy or not. The baby could have been terminally ill. You know what I'm saying? So, and at the end of the day, the parents, I guess, have the right to do that. But, you know, that's still spooky, though, to me because, like I said, I don't have biological children, but I know the bond between them and their parents when they're loving and they don't have a lot of dysfunction. It's like uncanny to where they're connected for the rest of their life. So I can't see this your biological child. You're not doing every single thing humanly possible to get that child some help. And I'm gonna say that over and over again because, like I said, what you was talking about, Sid, we call it loco parentis, meaning whatever adult is in the vicinity of that child becomes a parenting figure to where you obligated to make sure that they're okay, whether it be in a school setting or whatever, but definitely in a professional setting. So at home, like I said, automatic, like your first instinct is to go somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Get somebody that can help you with that. So I don't know.
So just for a quick recap, they knew they had a heads up with their child's condition, and they already had a history with their prior children having similar condition, and they took a different route. But they chose in this particular instant to use prayer, which I find to be off, right? And I want to pose a question to everybody here and even the viewers, but I do want to say this because I haven't really weighed in on either side. I do believe in prayer. I do believe in God and the higher power and all that. I also believe in therapy, psychologists, oncologists, and everything to do with medicine as well. So, because those gifts are imparted on these men and these women through Christ. So that's just one thing that I want to put out there. In terms of this, it's definitely murder. To me, I don't know about. I wouldn't say manslaughter because to me, you had a decision to make, then you chose to go a different direction, and it was a condition that they could have easily taken care of. Then you chose to do something else, so you already knew that you had options. And then after you go to the prayer, you end up conceiving again, but this time you do something different. Why wasn't that applicable to this child? Is your faith what you really think it is, or are you playing around with your spirituality? Which leads me to this question. Let's say it wasn't a child. Let's say it's a teenager or an adult. It's a life or death situation. And they still choose prayer over a doctor or over medicine or over wrapping up the wound, and they decide to just put up the prayer hands or open the book to Psalms 91 or whatever, the person dies, is that still the same situation if it was an older person?
If the person that died was an older person or the person that did the crime?
So the person is older, teenager, 20s, 30s. They have a condition. You have the power to help them, but you decide to pray instead.
I don't think the age of the person matters. However, I do think it does make the heinousness of the act worse when the child is younger. However, a lot of people that are gravely ill or have issues, like a teenager, let's say, they still wouldn't be able to drive themselves to the hospital. And for a parent to watch their like teenager dying or experiencing some sort of illness and then refusing to do anything about it, it still goes against like the responsibilities of not only a parent but a decent person. Like if you were on a sidewalk and you were the only person around and you saw somebody fall to the ground and start having a heart attack or seizure, stroke, something, most people would have the inclination to like, oh, I need to step in and help. I need to help this person because they're clearly in a vulnerable position. And so for anybody to not act while somebody's in a vulnerable state and could potentially die, I think they would be liable if they allowed that person to proceed to the point of death. But I think it's particularly bad when it's parents, because it's like they're seeing the progression and they're directly responsible for the health of that child. So whether the kid is 16 days or 16 years, the parents still have a responsibility to those children to do what's necessary to get them the treatment that is going to save their kid's life. And with children generally, even if they're able to drive themselves, most kids wouldn't understand the medical system enough to like take them through the process of dealing with the doctors and stuff like that. Like parents have to be there with their child through the process. So even if they're older, it's still like the parents' responsibility to be there and like facilitate that that visit. I also wanted to mention in the video that we watched, the one that they mentioned, these parents were part of a church in Oregon that over the past 3 decades had over 21 children die as a result of the members in the church not seeking medical care for them. So this is a pattern that we see, and it seems like it clusters in particular communities. And then one final thing too that I'll bring up. There was a third case in Pennsylvania where a set of parents lost 2 kids because they refused to seek out medical care. One of them from pneumonia and one of them from something else. I guess both of them were to pneumonia. But they ended up losing 2 kids out of their family. So this is definitely my child. This is definitely something it's not an isolated incident. It's not common, but it's definitely something that is still a current issue.
Yeah, I used to like to go to the doctor. I can't stand it. I still don't like going to the doctor. I don't trust him. But I know now, though, any signs of anything, I'm gone automatic. You know what I'm saying? It took years. It took me years. I was late to value life. I didn't know, it's priceless. I took for granted that tomorrow's not promised. So now that I'm lucky to be here, thanks to a million chances, I'm gonna go. And I know that there are people now who I know that we pretty much we forced to go to the doctor that are still alive now because, again, being a black man, a man of color, we got a healthy distrust for the institutions, especially the hospitals. But there are people I know who were very sick, and we'll go check on them. And you know how people are. We be like, all right, well, you know what, you're not doing good, but I'm gonna give you like one more day. I'm gonna give you one more day, 2 more days, and you go into the hospital whether you like it or not. And a lot of times, people don't want to go, but we have convinced some people to go that are still here. But I do know a lot of times you might be like, well, you know what? All right, just get some rest tonight. And people are adamant too. A lot of times people will fight you tooth and nail. You try to get them to go to the hospital, and they could be fevering. It's just a fever. I'm gonna just take a nap. I'm gonna just go to sleep. So with adults, you can't, you gotta let them make their own choices. But I know for a fact, for loved ones though, nah, you're going to the hospital. If I gotta knock you upside the head, put you in the car myself, we out of here, and we do it for everybody we love, whether it's a coworker, a friend, and then we go so far as we stand on the phone or we stand on FaceTime. Well, guess what? I'm gonna ride in the ambulance with you. You're going to see somebody, and we ain't never been had a whole lot of money to be able to invite the doctor to us. So that means if we not getting in your car or my car to go, we going in this ambulance.
My issue is you didn't give this child an option. You basically decided for them, and they can't speak. They can't say, "Hey, prayer is fine and all, but no, I want you to take me somewhere to have this looked at." Can't do it. So you take it upon yourself to make that choice for them. It doesn't work out. Then you try to make the argument that you weren't being negligent and that your rational explanation is, well, I believe that anybody can be healed or can be brought through something through the power of prayer, which to me is a fair argument from a spiritual aspect, but the legalities are so different. Because if I said right now, that my Lord and Savior will heal and deliver and do it, any and everything that I go to him for, and I don't need you, I don't need the police, I don't need this, I don't need that, the world is going to look at you like you're an idiot or you're a fool for believing that so-called blindly in someone that is invisible or can't be seen, whereas you have physical beings right there at your disposal that can come to your aid. So I can understand people looking at me like I'm a fool, but I can also understand how dismissive you can be and irresponsible to suggest that these men and women who got these degrees are incapable of doing the job through prayer. I've prayed for things and people have blessed me through the prayer. Like God will send people to you in different ways. So it's not. I for whatever reason, I think a lot of people just assume that magically things are just going to come out of thin air and change your life forever. Sometimes your blessings are manifested through the other vessel. Lawyers, doctors, prosecutors, officers, medicines, fruits, vegetables. Like it comes in different waves. So I'm still going to say this was negligence. I don't even completely believe their argument that they truly. The reason why I don't believe their argument is specifically because you already had kids that went down this road before. You just had another one that had the same issue, and you didn't go to your hands and your knees and pray like you did. So clearly, you know that you were being Neanderthals. That's how I think a lot of people play around with faith or prayer. Just, I don't know, out of convenience, so it sounds good, but you don't really believe in it like you claim you do. And it's unfortunate a lot of people end up worse off. And like Rob, I don't really trust science like that. It's not even the science itself, it's just people. There's too many people who wield it in the most disrespectful way. So you don't know what you're putting in your body. That's the problem. But I'm trying to prolong my years as much as possible. And if I have to go, then I gotta go. But yeah, I'm gonna land right there.
Yeah, I think for me, again, I know the law perspective is probably going to have an even different take on this. But I think for me, where I draw the line is that you are responsible for that child. You are the guardian. You are the one that has all power over this child, because obviously the child cannot vouch for itself, cannot do anything for itself. And in each of these cases, the parents were told that their child had a condition, had something wrong with them that was easily fixed. And they, in all of these cases, refused to do anything about it. And I think that's where I, in my head, would draw the line, because when you are solely responsible for someone, you can't let your belief systems, give me a minute, you can't let your belief systems infringe on somebody else's freedoms. And when you are using and I know it's really difficult when it comes to parents, because a lot of people think that, like, well, parents own the children, like they're the guardian, so they get to make the decisions. But realistically, you cannot let your own beliefs get in the way of what's best for your child. Because if you, okay, I'll use this as an example in, like, again, a stranger. If you don't believe in medical treatment and you find a stranger on the sidewalk that needs medical treatment, it's not your job to tell them what treatment they can and can't get, because it's your belief system on your body, not your belief system on someone else's body. And so when you are refusing somebody the right to medical care, the right to seek medical attention, and to live, essentially, and you're using your beliefs to impose on what they should be able to get, you're essentially restricting their freedoms to live and to have the access to this. And so it's hard for people to kind of tease out the two, because, like, the parent child line can get blurred a lot. But realistically, a parent's belief systems should not be enforced on the child, especially when it comes to their health. The parents are free to do what they want with their bodies, but for a vulnerable child that can easily be killed by things that are preventable, very easily preventable, I think belief systems have to take a back seat. I personally, like, there are certain things that I'm a bit icky about, but if I know that it's going to benefit my child, like, I'll look into the research myself. I try and understand what the purpose of it is, what the illness is, and how to prevent it. But if you have the ability to prevent somebody from facing harm, illness, or injury or death, that's your responsibility. That's your obligation. A very, very simple example, if you have a duty to warn, like if you see somebody that's about to like step off a cliff, you're not going to be like, all right, let's step back and watch what happens. Like, you're going to be, hey, don't go that way. You're going to fall off a cliff. And parents have all of that responsibility over their child, because again, their child can't do anything. And so when you have a parent willingly rejecting the things that would make that child survive, that would prevent that child from experiencing harm, and the parents do nothing, they are liable for any of the harm that befalls that child. And so I understand where the thinking comes from. I understand the human desire to hold on to your belief systems. It can be very, very powerful vice. But the reality is when you're dealing with somebody else's life, you don't get to use those liberties on that other person. Like, you have to forego your beliefs temporarily to get the attention that child would need to survive. It's such a difficult thing because, religion is a very touchy subject for people, and it's so deeply ingrained. It's a cultural thing, a generational thing, a historical thing, that I can see why people would still be kind of up in arms with the decision. To, like, for one of them, I really didn't think they got enough time for what they did. But again, it goes down to the independence of a person and the autonomy over their body. And I just think it's extremely tragic that religion can have such a deep hold on somebody that it allows them to watch their child pass away and they do nothing about it. So yeah, I think it's a really sad situation, but it really speaks to the intensity of religious ideology and theocracy and the hold it can have on somebody's brain. And it makes a lot of sense why religion is so closely linked to organizational chaos, for lack of a better term, such as cults and stuff. It can be a very slippery slope. But my heart goes out to those babies. I mean, as somebody that's about to have my own, I could not fathom standing by and watching my child like progressively get worse and just being like, I'm gonna pray over it. Like, I'll pray, but I'm also taking you to the doctor. So poor kids.
Yeah, I be wondering, I'm a conspiracy theorist to the black hole, and I'm wondering if whoever the leaders of those organizations are, I bet they got doctors out of Wazoo. I'm pretty sure they going in, if they have a problem, they call in a medic or whatever, whoop-de-whoop. So again, prayers for that baby, prayers for that family, because nobody want to lose a child. I tell my students all the time, and my kids, because I have kids through marriage for 20 years now. Y'all supposed to bury me. I ain't supposed to bury y'all. And they know this. They know this from the jump. You know what I'm saying? I tell my students a lot of the times, because we deal with so much trauma, I tell them all the time, I see you on the other side. And they'll look at me, you know, and understand they don't know that I'm teaching them for later. I'm gonna see you. Even if I go through the front office and they go through the lunchroom, I see y'all on the other side. If we at the classroom and I see y'all later at lunch, wooty woo. And that's what I'm saying. Of like, okay, you gotta be prepared. So that, like I said, I don't know. This one, you done stooped me.
I'm all about God, Jesus. I'm all about the power of prayer. I'm all about finding a balance between applying that knowledge and that wisdom with this secular world. Again, going back to something that I had said earlier, I believe that they, and a lot of people, they're misguided with how they apply their belief system. It's like you have to really study the word or the doctrine of whatever it is that you're following to really appreciate the tools that are available to you right now. So I read the Bible. However, they say faith without works is dead. So you can't say that you believe in this, but then when you have something sent to you, you deny it. So if I'm praying for help, I'm praying for a friendship, or I'm praying for this, that, and whatever it is, and then it shows up and I don't access or utilize it in the ways that it was presented to me, because what I'm looking for is this theatrical mosaic production that's supposed to be so grandiose that it says, hey, and then the loudspeakers go off, the rumbling of the surround sound implodes, time stops, the world stops, and that's what people are expecting. Then yeah, something is wrong, because sometimes your help comes in the form of a handshake, a hug. It comes in the form of a hello, or some tussin, or a Tylenol. So, but your ego and your pride, or like that lack of understanding, like this is cool, but what I got is better for you. I got somebody here that is their specialty is counseling. Their specialty is science. Their specialty is this. They can better talk you through whatever you're going through. They can prescribe exactly what you need at this particular moment. How do you not recognize that what you're faced with right now is actually being sent to you through your prayer? But it's all up to you to really determine if it's from the creator or it's something that is unnatural. And I think that's what happens with a lot of people. Not like, I could be wrong in my assessment, but I definitely believe that happened in these cases where these people just they go straight to the prayer. And I've said it before, a lot of us, we've prayed for things and our prayers were answered. We just rejected it or didn't realize what we had until it was gone. So I digress. On
I was just gonna say, um, for any parents, please seek medical care for your kids. Like, listen to what your pediatrician says. Listen to what your family members say, to a degree. If especially with newborns, they're very, very susceptible to very tiny things, and those tiny things can turn into a big deal issue. So yeah, I just wanted to add in at the end, like, please seek out medical care. Like, you can pray and you can also get medical care to save the life of your child. And yeah, I know it's a dynamic in the brain, but it's better for them. I just cannot vouch for science more.
Yeah. Shout out, Chef. Always coming through, baby. Yeah, I like your jersey too, D, before we go. That's very nice. Um, I would think, like I said, I read my Bible 3 times, Old and New Testament 3 times through. I read I'm 60 to 70% in my Quran right now, and I'm amazed at how it's a little off topic, but people get it wrong because it's the same story. They got Jesus in there, they just don't accept that Jesus died and came back. But he's in there, he's well respected in the Quran. I say that to say, whichever, whoever, however, ideally, if you believe so and you believe that much, if you believe that much, ideally you will believe that the power put that there, the power put the doctors there. I mean, we know the institutions have what they've been doing to people of color for all these years. We can't deny that. But now you have the opportunity to get second and third checks. You could go to this doctor, or you could switch around. It's harder for people who don't have a lot of resources, but you could definitely switch your doctor to get a second, a third opinion. And now you could even do the doctors on Zoom, on FaceTime, Google Meet. You know what I'm saying? And again, ideally, whoever, however, whatever their power is, whichever way you believe, ideally, you would think that they put that here for your service, to be of your service, so that you could preserve your kind, preserve your people. So in any case like that, I would definitely urge to do what Sydney said, because that's traumatic. Losing a child, I don't know if that could be worse than losing a parent. It's almost equivalent, but at the same time, losing a child is just like, and it's oh man, it never, because we lost 2 students in the last 3 years, and we lost a third grader, may he rest in peace, and then we lost a first grader to asthma attacks, it appears. And we are still reeling from that. Everybody is still hurting. I needed counseling for that. You know what I'm saying? So I already know that, losing a child, that's traumatic. Could almost make a person suicidal. So, always seek some kind of medical attention. We're not experts, and whoever you believe in doesn't really matter to me. What I do know is that ideally, again, in my head, they put those tools here. They put the people around so that you could be here, your children could be here, and live a little longer.
Great feedback from everybody. I don't have nothing else to add to that. I believe that we touched on all these points. I do want to say shout out to Chef. He owed me a hat still. He playing around. He talking about my jersey, but I need my hat immediately, ASAP. I gotta pull up on Scribe to get it. I'm gonna be over there. And like I agree with this comment that he has said. We have a tendency to think as if the way God works is like the movies or some form of fantasy. Yeah, I think we all do that. And his timing and the way that he gets our attention and chastises and corrects is not the same. The way he motivates and brings you out of and through is not the same way. The way he humbles and teaches is not. I promise you it ain't. But like God said, my thoughts and prayers go out to the family. My thoughts and prayers go out to everybody from your school, bro, for all the losses over there. Y'all can have y'all beliefs. There's nothing wrong with prayer. I encourage it. Matter of fact, we need more prayer now than ever. But make sure that when you are applying it, that you're not like doing it from like an occult type of a place where folks is programming you to move in like this military style type of format. You got to have your own relationship with the creators to know how to tell the difference between somebody who is there for you and somebody who is your enemy or is going to be detrimental to you. So with that being said, shout outs to Sid, shout outs to Rob. Y'all want to plug anything before we go? We ain't spoke about the book in a minute. Rob, I know you constantly working with the music and all that. If y'all want to plug anything before we close out, you can.
Well, first, shout out also to Chef for participating in the chat. It's always great to have you here. Just like you just mentioned, I have a book out right now, both on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, called Collapsing Together, and it's a social commentary that focuses on what is happening right now in the United States and a little bit around the world. And it features a lot of the emotions of what it's like to be living in this country right now. So if you're interested in reading some of my poetry, I read some of it here, but I have my first collection out again, Barnes & Noble and Amazon, called Collapsing Together. And yeah.
I'm always one for a shameless plug, but right now I'm gonna keep it silent in honor of the babies. Sydney, we need to get that link. We need them links. I don't know how. I'm gonna have to get your email. We got emails. Send me the links to your books.
I will.
So I can get my copies. But I'm gonna remain silent for sake of the babies, because I know how that is, and I'm watching. I work with children. I've been working with them for 22 years, and to lose them is always traumatic, and we still traumatized. So today I'll be quiet.
Hey, with that being said, do me a solid before y'all go, if you don't mind.
What's the goddamn button?
I see y'all tomorrow on the King's Table. Y'all be easy. Peace.
The flow insane. Take my spot, so the range. Shoot my shot, perfect aim. 3rd degree, that perfect flame. Ain't no sleep, that's the game. Oh, so southern, that's the slang. When they see me, that's the main. Chasing checks and fly like planes. Big old stick, I bought a cane.